Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Indy Investor Pod. I am here with Erick Armstrong today. I've seen Erick all over social media, see what he's doing, and I feel like I know him. And I actually just met him in person like a month ago, and like this is a cool dude. I want to know this guy. I want to learn more about him and stuff. And I was like, hey, we need to do a podcast swap. So I'm hoping to get on his. He's doing ours right now. But Erick, thanks a lot for joining me, man.
No doubt. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Yeah. So I want to, if you don't follow Erick, he's a great follow on social media, number one. So definitely get down there and check out what he's doing. He's doing this whole thing with entrepreneur to entrepreneur, and we'll get into that kind of towards the end of the show. But here at the beginning, I just want to kind of get everybody to get a chance to get to know you a little bit. So what's your background? Where did you come from? How did you what were you doing before you got into real estate, and kind of how did that lead you into getting into real estate and what you're doing now, man?
Got you. I was born in Panama. I was born in Panama City, Panama. So I'm Hispanic. So I came here in 1990. Went to Ben Davis High School, and then went to Vincennes and IU to run. After that, I ran track. After that, I got
Wait,
into
wait, wait.
insurance
What
sales.
was your best event?
400,
Okay, all right.
I ran a 47.6.
Ooh,
So I got a couple state rings. I was blessed to be an Indiana All-Star, so that was a blessing.
that's
But
awesome.
that was years ago. I don't know if I'm that quick anymore.
So,
um, I want to say like in 2004, 2008, I was in insurance sales. So I worked for American Family Insurance, and that's when I had my first introduction to real estate, as I had a property casualty license to sell home insurance and things of that nature. So around 2008, my interest for real estate came about, and I actually went to a course, but then we had the recession. So things slowed down for me in my business as well. So I transitioned out of that. I got in a little bit of trouble, just to be transparent.
yeah.
I was in some deep trouble. And then I just like needed a break. I needed to get away, change my environment, and I went to the military. Went to the military, met some great guys. Um, I wasn't an outdoorsman, but I definitely got my outdoors game up.
There you go. There you go. We were just talking. I'm in Utah right now as we're recording this. We were just talking about hiking and stuff like that beforehand and things. So no,
Yeah,
man.
no
Thanks.
doubt.
Number one, thanks a lot for serving. Really appreciate you serving this country and stuff like that. But yeah. So that's really kind of, I'm sure, helped you kind of learn a little bit of discipline and learn a little bit about yourself as you're going through that for sure.
No doubt, no doubt. With track and the military, definitely it helped me buckle down and really just understand what I need to do to be, just more assertive as a person and more disciplined, like you said. So from there, I got a job at Angie's List. So Angie's List is where I was a salesman, and I was selling ads. And that's where I actually obtained my knowledge of search engine optimization.
Yeah.
When I learned that, I got introduced by a friend um, to hair extensions. And so I watched a movie with Chris Rock that was called Good Hair back in 2011. And in that movie, there were like several distributors all over the country, all over India. And so I basically noted everybody, researched everybody, and then about a few months later took a flight and went to find everybody in the movie. And that's when I came back and started a company called Her Hair Company. That was 2012. In 2012, we started the company out of my music studio because I was a DJ. I skipped that. I was a DJ. I DJ for 20 years. And so it was crazy, man. Bundles on turntables, bundles of hair and stuff. It was just crazy.
I feel like that's
And
like
my
a good
mom,
business model. Like be doing hair and you can throw some nails in there. Got a DJ going in the corner or something like that, man. That's I want to get my hair done there.
it was wild, man. I'll be honest with you. I never thought I'd be doing what I was doing, just to be honest with you. So so that happened, and then I was blessed with a great team, man. Over the years, I was able to make the Inc. 500 list. I made the Inc. 500 list in 2016, 17, and 18. But between there, right around like 2014, I was making some good money, and I looked at it as we were making millions in the hair extension game. I wanted to actually ensure that I secured my future, not just my present lifestyle. So I started to flip houses, but I realized that that wasn't the avenue for me because it just took too much time. So I started to buy and hold.
Yeah.
So I would just put, you know, I would buy rental properties, put a little paint and some lipstick on the properties. And then I got my first 9 properties by 2017, 18.
Nice.
By the way, that picture right there, that's a state championship picture from 19, I want to say 2000, year 2000 right there.
Nice.
That's funny.
That's awesome, man. So no, that's great. So I want to dig into a little bit of, so let me ask you, I'm going to dig into a little bit of this, you flipping properties and realizing like, hey, that wasn't for me. I want to go the buy and hold strategy and things like that. So let's start with, so you were already being pretty successful in your day job. You were looking to do basically make some money on the side, set up your future. So you picked real estate, and you went into flipping properties and things like that. So before we get you out of flipping properties into the buy and hold stuff, let's talk about that. What are some things that you learned about flipping properties in Indianapolis, and just kind of like, and then really maybe get into too of like why you decided like, hey, this really isn't for me.
Got you.
Yeah.
So I started flipping just because it was the most attractive thing to do, obviously. When we watch HGTV,
Yeah.
the before and after is very appealing. So, you want to exercise your creativity in your skill set like that. But the truth was, I on my first flip I did 27,000. On the second flip I did 17, and then third flip I want to say I did somewhere around like 30,000. But for me at the time, those projects took about 4 months.
Yeah.
So when as an entrepreneur, I think our priority is to make sure that we put money wherever the money moves the fastest.
Yeah.
So I don't focus on how much money I make. I focus on the velocity of the turn of the money turning.
Yeah.
Therefore, I had her hair company, which at the time was doing a lot, was turning money faster. Therefore, that's when I decided that flipping was not the best place to put my money into.
Yeah, I think that's really, I mean, that's wise. I think it's what a lot of people get into. So for example, for you, you're a DJ, and you're doing things like, yeah, you wanted to create a business and things like that. You're a creative person. So I feel like that's a lot of people that kind of have that energy of like, oh, I want to do flipping because then I can use my creative style and things. But realistically for you, it wasn't about you were using that as an outlet, but realistically, you didn't need to be creative. You needed to be able to get money and buy some properties right now so you're able to hold them for the future. Which
Hmm.
is kind of, so I'm happy to hear that you kind of had that realization, and we'll kind of talk about your buy and holds here in a second. I want to ask you one more thing about flipping though too, is we have a lot of people that maybe are kind of in that mode right now too, like, hey, I don't know what I want to be doing. Do I want to be flipping, or I need to generate some money flipping to be able to do some buy and holds or be able to do some note investing and that stuff. So what's maybe some advice that you have for somebody out there that is just looking to get started in flipping, or maybe even some advice you have for somebody that's flipping properties in Indianapolis? Because flipping in the Midwest is a little bit different than flipping in the South or flipping out west or something like that.
Got you. In my opinion, the number one skill set that any investor should have is deal acquisition. And
Yeah.
so so in acquiring deals, we can't control what comes through the pipeline. Therefore, what I learned early was not to get fixated on I want to be a flipper or a buy and hold guy. I just say allow the lead to come in, practice my negotiation skills, acquire the lead, and allow the house to let me know what I want to do with it.
Yeah.
For example, if the margin is there to make over $50,000, that's a great flip. If I have too many projects and I can't take up on any properties, then I should wholesale the property. But if I am in a position where my team could take up on the next property, or if the numbers are right for a rental property, then I would just kind of keep buy and hold it as a rental. So I think that the first thing, our number one skill that we should focus on is deal acquisition, and allow the property to let you know what to do with it.
Yeah. I love that. I think that's really great advice, because, and then being able to have multiple exit strategies within that of like, hey, I can flip this, I can wholesale this, and, or I can, use this in my buy and hold investment, because it's exactly what fits in there and stuff, which is awesome. I love that you said that. So Randy and I just did the episode right before this one's going to air on, that came out on Monday. That's what we talked about, is like, why isn't everybody wholesaling? I feel like wholesalers get a bad rap, and there's kind of a negative connotation with it. And yes, there's some people that, don't do it the right way. There's some shady stuff going on. That's every business, I feel like. But realistically, if you are in real estate investing and you are looking to acquire any type of property, if you're doing some flips and you're generating leads, or you're looking at leads from somebody else, wherever those leads are coming in from, same thing on the buy and hold side, there's opportunity for you to say, hey, you know what, this doesn't fit my criteria, but it's going to fit somebody else's.
Right.
Maybe, if it's this somebody, if it's this criteria or whatever, so why not wholesale it? Or I love your philosophy too, Eric, what you said, man, if I'm just too busy or I'm at my max, I just, I'm going to maybe I need to pass it off to somebody else because I can't handle a project right now. So that's a great mindset to have in things. Any advice for those people that are doing that, of like, they're, number one, I want to go back to, are you using SEO? Is that your main lead generation source then?
No, no, I don't. So for me, as far as lead generation, I use VAs. I use virtual assistants.
Okay.
So I pull a list, and then I allow them to call. And so after
Nice.
they call, they set the appointments for me. So my job is just to show up to the appointment, evaluate the property, and and get it under contract if the property meets the numbers.
Yeah.
If
So
this is a tip though, if the property doesn't meet numbers and or somebody wants retail price for their property, therefore it doesn't fit because there's not a discount for me.
yeah.
I tend to pass those leads on to my realtor,
Yeah.
and then I just ask for a kickback. And
Yeah.
it's something that anybody could do to then feel, therefore the lead's not wasted, and they could just use that money to go get more leads.
Yeah. That's exactly it. I mean, it's maybe you're not wholesaling yourself, but you are building relationships and, building a
Definitely.
network that you're able to utilize something with. Maybe it's not even wholesaling, but like, hey, if I find a deal, I can give it to a flipper and maybe I get a percentage at the end of the deal or whatever it may be. So I love that fact of like, you have your network, you've built those connections of like, hey, this doesn't fit what I want to do. I don't really want to wholesale it. It's more of a retail lead. So you have a realtor that you can go to and say, hey, here's a deal for you. You might get a little something at the end, which is awesome. So that's a great way to kind of look at it, is to, we were approaching it as like, hey, everybody should be wholesaling, but it's more than that. It's like, hey, you can build a
Mhm.
network and really make as many connections to utilize all of your resources, but then also too, just it helps you, if that realtor needs help sometime on the flip side or has a good buy and hold property, where are they probably going to come? They're probably going to come to Eric because he's feeding them leads. So that's a great thing right there, man.
And I think that I think that about perspective is creating win-win situations. And I think that so many people get caught up in money. To the true wealth is building opportunity. The more opportunity I have and the more opportunity I create, the more stable I become as an individual business owner.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Man, I completely agree with that. Actually, I'm giving a presentation later today at a workshop I'm in out here in Salt Lake City. And that's like one of the things I want to talk about, is like how I've never, throughout my real estate investing career, throughout really my professional career, when I've put the money first, I've usually fell a little short. But when I've put the
Mhm.
connection first, the relationship first, that's when the money it just happens. It's just going to come in
Mhm.
about. So, man, that's
I agree.
awesome. So that's going deep here, Eric. I like it. So, let's talk one more thing too about, do you have any advice for, just on the wholesaling aspect of, let's say that you are, somebody they're generating their own leads. Maybe it does fit within the criteria of maybe what you would be, you could pick it up at a good discount and stuff like that after you've done the walkthrough, you've done that. I feel like talking to you before, you've done a great job. This kind of comes back to building your network of, you're not really running a whole wholesale operation or anything like that, but what you've done is you built up a particular buyers list, really a niche list of buyers that when you get a wholesale deal, you already know, okay, which one of my 5 buyers is going to go to, and that's who
Mhm.
you're really feeding it to. So can you talk about that a little bit too, of like how kind of you're not operating as a wholesaler, you're not marketing yourself as a wholesaler, but you've built a niche buyers list to where like, man, this is really works for you, but you still can wholesale, and you have your buyers that you're going to go to each and every time.
Got you. So as I stated earlier, like relationships to me are the key to life and creating opportunity for others. Therefore, what I've done is this. As I was getting leads, I was wasting money because I wasn't using all the leads. I couldn't
Yeah.
take upon all the leads. And so I built some relationships with some great guys, some out of state, some in state. And like whenever I get a lead, I just understand what they like and I understand their parameters, whether it's they want multifamily, a 3-2, or whatever it may be. Therefore, when it comes through, my repair cost estimations have been so accurate that they trust me. And so when we're talking about what kind of tip I could give somebody is to be able to assess the property is the number one skill set a wholesaler should have. I think that you said that, hey, not everybody does it right. It's because we take the lazy route. And I've seen guys teach it 100 times where they say, hey, if it needs light repairs, do the square footage times $15 times $20, or mid range do uh, $35 times the square footage, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But I think that being able to walk around the property and say, hey, that roof needs to be done. It's going to be 7,000. Hey, it needs a new water heater. That's going to be 650. Hey, this house needs to be painted. It's going to be 2,000 plus materials. Hey, this house is a slab, 1,300 square feet. We need vinyl plank. That's $2 per square feet. That's going to be 2,600. And then just for the plank, the labor might be $1 per square foot. You being able to calculate repairs like that and efficiently and put it in your email whenever you blast it, and somebody could calculate the repairs and see that. I think one, it gives you credibility. Two, it builds, once you have the credibility, now the relationship goes from transactional to strategic, because that person is looking at you like, man, I need to partner with this guy, not just one time, but he needs to be part of how I build my book of business or my portfolio. So again, to answer the question, being able to estimate repairs, great. I think it's a skill set that would help any wholesaler do their thing. Last but not least, as far as building a list, if you're new, obviously there's so many Facebook groups you could go to at this point, and just kind of network. But I just let people know, hey, I got deals in Tennessee. I got deals in Tennessee. Typically, I come across 2 or 3. If you're interested, put your email down and what you're looking for. If you go down those lists, you'll be able to. Everybody's there for real estate, so just connect with everybody in there. Once you build your list to, like, let's say 400 to 500 people, if you have the negotiation skills and the credibility, I think that you should be bold enough to just say, hey, let's swap lists. I have a list of 6,500 buyers nationwide. I can approach you and ask you that. I would say, do you want to grow your list? I want to grow my list. Are you open to swapping? You know what I'm saying? And that's an opportunity for us to 2 or 3x our list just by doing that a couple of times. Now, you don't do that with everybody, but that's just a kind of bold strategy. But that's some of the stuff I do, man.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like it. I like the boldness that it comes with. So that's good stuff, man. I do want to go back to something that you said of, understanding, like, knowing the repair cost. I think is such a valuable skill. Just like you said, it is such a valuable skill for a wholesaler or just anybody that's acquiring properties for any way to be able to do that and stuff. So if you are wholesaling, to be able to pass that on to the buyer, that knowledge, I think is so valuable. But also, I think it's so valuable to be able to have that conversation with the seller as well. When you can sit there and you're like, oh, well, your house is about 1,000 square feet. I'm going to, if I multiply that by, $15, it's going to take about this much. Like, that's not going to resonate with them. But when you can actually show them a list of, like, hey, when I buy this property, I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to fix the roof. I'm going to have to replace the water heater. I got to fix this corner of the foundation. I got to do that. When you can actually show them and kind of show them where your money is going to go, man, that's huge in negotiation. Just getting them to understand of, like, hey, you might not like my number. It might not be what you wanted, but this is the reason why. When you're able to do that, I think that's such a huge piece on what's going on. And also just helps build that connection as well. So I think it helps on the selling side and the buying side. So, man, I'm 100% behind you saying that of, like, knowing your numbers and knowing your, like, rehab costs and stuff like that is huge when it comes to the wholesale game.
Also, in negotiating, hey, man, this is a high level negotiation I'm about to give you, but check it out. So I think that so many people get caught up with commission breath and the potential of making money, and or their thirst that they got commission breath when they approach a deal. But the truth is, we need to understand the person in front of us, where they want to go. Like, what are they trying to do? Where are they trying to go, right? So when we understand where they want to go, they want to get out the house to go to the next one, or they want to move out of the state. We need to understand that. Two, why. So we understand their why, to be honest with you, we could use their why to pitch ourselves.
Yeah,
You see what I'm
100%.
saying? If we ask them how they plan to do it, they will actually tell you that they need to sell their house. And we
Yep.
never really ask that. What 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 do they have in their toolbox for for them to get rid of the house? They typically don't have a resource. What resource they have? Therefore, that's our opportunity to say, hey, I'm here to assist you, help you, however it may be. Even if I can't help you, if I can point you in the right direction. Now we're no longer that person just like trying to attack them. Now we're just a resource because they didn't have resources in their toolbox. And then, we also want to know when. Obviously, to gauge motivation, whether they're looking instantly or they're looking like 3 months from now. So we ask those 5 questions. I think that you pretty much get all the answers that you need. And I think that the negotiation process becomes very seamless as you ask, they hear themselves talk and they
Yeah.
answer their own questions.
Yes. 100%. And with that, I'm going to add one more little tip in there with negotiating this, and then it end up being a negotiation podcast and stuff. But no, so that asking all those questions, the who, the why and the how and the when and the, what they want to do and who they're doing it for, those are all very important. And after you ask those, just shut up and listen to what they're saying. Okay. You do not have to, whenever you're talking in the negotiation, you're probably the one losing. So just
That's
kind of keep
key.
that in mind and stuff though too. So
Key.
awesome, man. Love it. Love the nuggets you're dropping here. I think it's great stuff. No matter what part of real estate you're in, if you're negotiating with anybody, I mean, that's what you want to do is you want to figure out the why and really the who behind kind of what's going on. And then the timeline and everything like that will fall into place as well. So I want to move into with you a little bit of, so why is buying and holding such that great strategy? You decided to, hey, I'm going to do this now. I'm going to build my rental portfolio. I'm going to hold these properties. And it's not about like what's going on right now. It's really about like what they're going to be able to do for me 20 years from now, 30 years from now, down the road. How important is that to you of kind of building that portfolio now, and why you kind of pick that strategy to go with?
Got you. So currently I got about 20 properties. I have 2 flips. So I flip because the property just dictates that. The
Yeah.
properties, the ARV, the after repair value is too large for me to hold it as a rental. So the reason I elected to make buy and hold my strategy is because of the way I buy. I buy at pretty much a discounted price to where I pretty much get most of my properties for free, between free and $5,000 out of pocket at the end of the deal. So that doesn't mean that I don't put up any cash up front. Most of the properties I buy cash to just be competitive. Then I
Yeah.
refinance it with a construction loan. But by the time I'm done with it, I buy properties typically anywhere at 65%. That's the property and repairs. Therefore, that by the time I refinance, hopefully I land somewhere at 75% to ARV, or if not close to it. Therefore, that when I come out, I'm at zero invested, or I get my cash back out. The reason I've elected to do that is, one, because if I use that same cash, I could rinse and repeat that over and over and over. Now, the cash flow is not big in that. So meaning that my average cash flow is right around $330 per property, which is, in some cases is cool, some cases is not. Just because if we got repairs that month, we don't really make profits off that property. Therefore, scaling it has been big for me, meaning that having 10 or more is the goal. But the ultimate goal is for me is to get 100 properties. Why is that a big goal? Is because I'm using the same money to build cash flow for life. If I have 100 properties at $330, that's like $30,000. So I can live the lifestyle that I want. Also, I get the tax benefits. So the 27.5 rule applies. So let's just say, just to use a number, if the properties were worth $100,000, I am saving on taxes right around $3,500 per year, which
Yep.
is huge. And that's per property. So that's times 10 or times 20.
Yeah.
So I don't have to pay taxes until I, exceed that amount. So the tax benefit is huge. The cash flow is huge. And appreciation. I have most of my properties in Avon, Westfield, Fishers, and I have a few in the city, but not a lot. Therefore, they're in areas where they've been appreciating
Yep.
aggressively. And I've been able to refinance in the last 3, 4 years, a couple of times where I pulled out a couple $100,000 each time.
Nice.
So I really get the benefit of flipping by doing that because somebody else is paying the mortgage down. To add, there is a lack of affordable housing. Therefore, renting has been, the rent prices have been going up as well.
Yep.
Therefore, it's keeping me up with the hedge of inflation. Therefore, whether I rent today or I rent 20 years from now, I'm going to be, my money is going to grow as the economy is growing. And that's why, for me, I've elected to become a buy and hold investor.
So that's awesome, man. I love it. I love the way you just broke that down right there. Just like I got sucked in right there, just listening to that of like, yeah, that's exactly it. That's the strategy. That's what you want to be doing and why you want to be doing it and how you want to be doing it. So man, that's awesome stuff. So I really appreciate that. I feel like a lot of people of when they hear it, if they hear this podcast and they hear Eric on here talking, or they hear, another podcast that we did on like a birth strategy, or go to YouTube or listen to some of the gurus and stuff like that, like, it realistically is a simple process. The hardest part of it is getting into it, like doing that first deal and understanding like, oh, okay, yeah, this can be done. This can be done. It's
Mhm.
funny. Ronnie on our team, he just picked up his first property, and it's just like, dude, like, he's like, he's excited to get it rented and things like that. I'm like, dude, if you do this to the kitchen, like, that's going to bring this much more value to your refinance. All of a sudden, that's not just one other property you can buy. That's two more properties you can buy. He's like, oh my gosh. Yeah. Like, it is digging in that to kind of seeing how it is. And it's not, it comes into analyzing the properties correctly and doing things right. But when you have a market like right now, like, you got to be kind of bad to be able to mess up like real estate investing right now. Anyway, we'll see what happens in like 2 years, 5 years and stuff like that, or if another recession hits. But man, taking advantage of being able to refinance at the rates you can now and being able to take advantage of kind of where the market is right now, I think it's incredible and stuff. So I love to see what you're doing. It's awesome, man.
No
So
doubt. Appreciate it. Appreciate it,
before
man.
we get out of here today, I definitely want to hear you talking about a little bit about what you're doing with entrepreneur, kind of your heart behind that, and what your goal is with that, and just like what experiences have been like for you to be able to connect with other entrepreneurs and what you're doing, man.
Got you. So, man, entrepreneur to entrepreneur came about. Like I wanted to do it a long time ago, but during the pandemic, I have asthma. So when they were talking about people dying because of the COVID, I sat still for a while because I didn't know how to, I didn't know how that would affect me. And so then I seen a couple people go through it, and it was tough. So I always have helped people and taught people. Um, in the hair industry, we had this thing called Beauty Millionaires, where I taught people how to basically build their brands to make millions selling hair. So this was just a different way for me to exercise my desire to just help people and teach. And so I started a company called entrepreneur to entrepreneur.com, where we teach people how to get free rental properties. So I basically teach people the skill set of buying, and not just buying like just anything, but how you buy at a discount rate, the negotiation skills, how to assess repairs. I give them the tools and the systems that I use. To add, um, we also basically give them all kind of like scripts, cheat codes, and things that I use to kind of like just enhance the process. And so in doing so, man, I have developed a course in a mentorship program. I'll be launching that here at the beginning of August. So basically, every morning we're going to have mentorship calls. They're basically $47 a month, but Monday through Friday, we'll be talking about wholesales and acquisitions. We'll be talking about flips, financing deals. I have my lender on there. We'll be talking about credit, just because some of us need to improve our credit.
Yep.
So I'm there to, basically assist that. And then we have a book club. So every Friday we'll be reviewing a book of the month, and
Nice.
and just feeding ourselves and just kind of like getting in a network with other investors from all across the country that are new. So like-minded individuals who are trying to grow. So we're just trying to create that for the culture. Um, and and then I have a mentorship program, obviously, to where you could get more one-on-one support as you're going through the process of trying to acquire and build your portfolio. With that though, I also have the podcast. It's called First Generation Wealth Builders. So First Generation Wealth Builders is about basically bringing dope individuals in all arenas of life. They do different things. And, my goal is to just basically understand their connection with real estate, because we all have a connection with real estate, and to empower them also on how real estate can really be a avenue for them to build their wealth.
So, man, I love that. Man, I love your heart behind all these projects you're doing, and your willingness to help people and everything. So it's so cool. Of like, you talk about that first generation wealth builders and like kind of what that community has kind of brought up and things like that. There's so much of that going on right now, where I mean, that was my story. That was your story, where like I didn't know what to do with money. I never had those lessons or anything like that. So being able to hear that from other people and being able to kind of build a community and put that out there, man, that's awesome stuff. I love it. So
Appreciate it.
yeah, man. Eric, let's say if somebody wants to find out more information about you or wants to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Got you. On Facebook, Erick Armstrong. So it's Erick, Erick, Armstrong. As far as on Instagram, it's Erick, Erick.R.Armstrong. And you can visit entrepreneur-to-entrepreneur.com to learn more about our courses and everything we're doing over there. Outside of that, man, tap in, DM me, send me a DM. I usually respond back within 24 hours. I'm not that guy, but tap in with me, connect, let's connect. And yeah, that's it.
That's awesome. So, and if you just want to connect with somebody that, is another entrepreneur out there hustling and doing their thing and willing to teach, or if you just want somebody that can DJ and provide hair extensions or just run really fast, Eric is your guy, man.
A Renaissance man, that's what they call it, I guess.
So
I appreciate you for having me, man. I thank you. This is actually the first podcast I've ever done in Indianapolis.
All right. Awesome, man. So great. Thank you for being on here with us. Really appreciate that. If you need anything from me, I'm always willing to help. You can hit me up at brian@simplewholesaling.com. And with that, that's a wrap for this episode of the Indy Investor Pod, and we'll see you guys next time. Take care.